Good morning, St. Peter's, day 48. Jesus is better than any priest, part 2, Hebrews 5, 4 to 10. It says in Hebrews chapter 5, verse 2, priest is able to deal gently with those who are ignorant and who are going astray, because he's clothed also with weakness. And because of this, he must make an offering for his own sins as well as for his people. The priest needs to make an offering for his own sins in order to be clean and to make an offering for his people that he represents. But Jesus was the perfect Adam and did not sin. So how did he make an offering for his sins? Well, how did that work? Well, it says later on in verse 8, although he was the Son, that is the Son of the Father, he learned obedience from what he suffered. And after he was complete, he became the source of eternal salvation for those who obey him. It's not that Jesus was incomplete before, but through his experience of being the Son and learning obedience to the Father, he becomes complete, and he offers eternal salvation. How was he obedient? Well, it says here, during his earthly life, he offered prayers and appeals with loud cries and tears to the one who was able to save him from death, and he was heard because of his reverence. That is, Jesus, all the way through his life, was tempted and tested, and all the way through he was obedient to the Father, even when the Father said no. Even when the Father said, no, I will not take this cup in the Garden of Gethsemane. And he prayed with loud tears, and he was still obedient to the Father, and he still trod the way which led to death and suffering, and he learned obedience. It's kind of like a son who is born into the family business, and the father has a great family business that he's been built up over many years, and he may be quite rich and powerful. And the father says, come and work in my business. And on the first day, the son may expect to be put into a nice office with cushy lunches and have business deals and play golf most of the days. But instead, the father puts the son onto the factory floor, and he works hard, and he understands all of the business dealings. And then he has to go and encourage customers to come into the business, people who don't want their stuff. And he has to understand the dealings of supply and demand. And he has to understand how to deal with strikes and other things that the workers are going to do. And he has to understand all the numbers that need to be crunched each month. And the son goes through a period of years and years and years. And perhaps after 5-10 years, he becomes a manager or higher up in the business and gets an office. That is, when the son realizes and goes through the very depths of humanity, he has become a son that has learned to be obedient. In the same way, this is what Jesus has done. But the great news all of this means is that this high priest is able to sympathize and to understand our weakness as humans and the very nature of the temptations and trials that assail us. And remember, he's at the very heart, passed through the heavens, at the throne room of God. And so Jesus truly understands the greatest temptations and trials that we have, because he has gone through it all. And he experienced the Father saying no. But he did that for us, and he died the death that we deserve. And so we could know the Father and talk with him and become more like the Son and be the brothers and sisters of God's family. This is a great news because it means this high priest can sympathize with every weakness. And this is part 2. And the priest stuff goes on in Hebrews, so we're going to have part 3 as we continue tomorrow. Jesus is the greater high priest.